I mean, who knows a corporate Minneapolis? Are they, Biden voters?
Revis is a Trump supporter.
Oh, okay, cool, no, then we're good.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, then we're good.
We are back on. We had another quick little break because a couple of us are smokers, and frankly, we need to take breaks. And my wife won't let us smoke here in the basement, so here we are. We're back. Second Amendment, guns, and we're gonna do a little bit longer and wrap this bad boy up. Who was talking? I know it wasn't me.
Matt was.
Matt,
Is it me?
Wish?
I think we're just talking about proficiency and whether my concern with it was, we were kind of talking in the garage that, I don't like the government being able to, kind of put these super strict standards on, what constitutes you like being able to exercise your right. Now, I mean, I'm for training. I don't mind going and doing it, like for my class. It doesn't bother me, but I don't know. I'm very leery of giving like the government the ability to I don't think they should even have the right to make me do that. I don't think I should have to pay a fee to carry, a gun every day.
Mhm.
I think that's my, whether you believe in God or some kind of a creator, or just, being a free man existing, that's my right. It's just, I don't know. I don't like the government being involved in that any more than what they have to be.
See, these things, they're all state regulated.
Yeah.
It's not so much federally regulated, it's state regulated, so.
Yeah,
In
your
some
FOID cards through your state police.
In some states, you don't need a FOID card. In some states, you just have that natural right at birth when you reach a certain age that you're allowed to go buy a gun and ammunition, and you're allowed to carry that gun with you. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember
Constitutional.
in Arkansas, when I was little and, seeing all my uncles and everybody with their pickup trucks, and I mean, you rarely saw a pickup truck that didn't have a shotgun in the back window of the truck.
Yeah.
And those guys, they were carrying guns everywhere they went, and they leave their trucks parked outside Denny's breakfast or wherever it was they were going. That everywhere they went, that gun just and I think that there still are a lot of states that allow that. Kenosha, Wisconsin, they're allowed to carry a gun walking through town. They're allowed to carry a gun through there.
Well, goddamn it, Rick, you never know where you're gonna come across the goddamn
So-
mountain lion.
So I mean, Kyle Rittenhouse,
Gosh,
in that way, had the kid been a year older and purchased his gun on his own legally, then you're
Going to change the story.
And
Isn't that wild?
it's gonna
This would be
change
so
the
much. If the kid
storyline.
was like a couple hundred days older.
because then he's a legal gun owner in a community where it is legal to carry the gun. So
Could change things, yeah.
yeah, I think it would definitely change things, because then you have to look at, okay, what else is there? The kid's fearing for his life, so
Yeah.
it comes down more to, did he shoot in self-defense, or did he go there with premeditated murder on mind? And, so where a jury would find, I don't know, that would be up to them, but I think it really changes the scope of the whole thing if he was a little bit older and had purchased his gun legally. Unfortunately, now he's a kid that wasn't legal, didn't have a legal gun, and entered into a community with that illegal gun, and bad things happened.
Kind of overshadows, what individual, things happened, whether, it warranted defense or not, because it's hard to get past, the fact that he did, show up there illegally.
Yeah, unfortunately, right
So
from the
then,
very
so then
beginning,
people are
it's-
looking at just that instance of like, oh, this guy did this to him, so then he was justified, or it muddies the waters.
Right. Right.
A lot. But I don't know. That's just a horrible situation.
I don't know. In
It's
my
one of those
mind,
things,
I
right?
still think that it's every man, woman's right to own and carry a gun in the United States.
By birth.
That by birth in the United States, yes, that is our legal birthright, being a citizen of the United States, that we are able to own and carry a gun. I believe that we should all be able to carry a gun also.
Can the Democratic Party wants to put a lot of restrictions, as we've talked here, on the
They
amount
wanna
of
put a
guns you
lot of
want to own,
restrictions on
the
everything.
magazines, how many hours you got to go through to get your gun license, this and that, and blah blah blah. But we agree that there's a lot of people that should not have guns.
Oh, absolutely, sure.
So how do we weed out some of those people? Some of those people that have mental conditions that are good at faking it.
Sociopaths.
Yeah,
I
sociopath.
think that's a hard question.
I don't know that
No,
you
they can, right?
there's you can't go out there with some type of a beeper and hold up to somebody and know that that person is a sociopath and they're dangerous to carry a gun. We don't know that now. We didn't know that in the past, and we're probably not going to know that in the future.
I know
That's just one of the things. I mean, it's
Well,
shit happens sometimes, and it's uncontrollable.
is
And
it?
I think that that's one of them things in the long term that's kind of uncontrollable.
Well, let me ask you: is it plausible? Again, I'm going down the conspiratorial road again a little bit. Is it plausible to you to think that in 10, 20, 30, maybe even more years from now, that you will have, look at your Facebook profile, something similar to your Facebook profile would be kind of like your internet social profile, and that
A
thing,
social status.
a
kind of
social
thing,
status score. China has that social credit score.
What?
Is it Ooh, we'll talk about that another time.
Fuck, did I just
A
say
social
that?
credit
that could be
score.
a future episode.
Oh yeah, we will get
And the
into that one.
Democrats want to bring it here.
Oh yeah, yeah. Ooh, that's a fun one. We'll talk about that shit. Have you heard about the social
I
credit
have
score?
not.
Oh,
But let's finish what
okay.
you're talking about here.
is it plausible that someday down the future that everybody will have something similar to a Facebook profile, and your behavior and how you interact with people on your profile and everything could prohibit you from, say you're a little wild, you're foul-mouthed on your profile or something, right?
I
And
agree.
then, wow,
I
this
agree.
guy's really not a good person. He's not allowed to have a gun. His social credit score is
Wouldn't
very low. We
surprise
can't
me.
give him a
You're
gun.
you're
Am I crazy?
That's what that
Or
is.
do we see something like that
Holy
possible?
you're going to buy. I'm going to buy a used car from you, so I don't know you.
Fuck.
So
But I could look up your credits,
So
your social credit score.
I pull you up on Google and I got all the information. Matt, married, 2 kids, blah blah blah, this and that. Owns 3 guns. Concealed carry license.
a lot of that would have to
Some,
be private.
he's got a credit score of 650 because he didn't pay his J.C. Penney bill, or
JCPenney.
but some type of a social status thing that would pop up on every living person in the United States. Yeah, I think there probably will be something like that.
A
someday.
social profile.
So you
of
could
some
look that
type.
person up and say, okay,
Yeah.
do I want to go meet this guy and buy a car from him?
Oh, it looks like he's screwed over 2 people in internet purchases,
Right.
and he didn't graduate. Well, I can see here he didn't graduate high school either. No, I'm not going to meet with
It's-
him.
it's
I'm
all-
not going to
and-
sell him my pottery from the island of Mac.
And then it's
Macawam.
almost anybody that has a beef with you can send something onto your profile, that people have to determine is
So
that.
do you guys think that there in the future someday there could be something like that, and then your behavior on there could prohibit you from?
Oh,
Sure, because that
100%.
behavior
Okay.
determines so many things now.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, employers look at your Facebook pages and things like that to find out more.
Not if your
information
Facebook
about
name
you.
is Big Dicks Galactic.
I wanted to mention
True.
this earlier, how the state of Illinois, they actually look into, do you remember if it's 10 years or 20 years of your history? They go back into your high school records, whether you were suspended
Oh,
for
I don't know about that.
No,
Are you
dude.
sure?
Yeah, 100%. They look into your high school records, whether you were expelled for anything, whether you're suspended for anything. Yes, 100%. They look into all that to see if there's any sort of past history of violence.
And what is that for again,
To get a concealed carry in the state of Illinois.
Matt?
They look into that. It goes back X amount of years.
I don't know what they. I mean, I know you fill all shit out and they look at residency. They look at different shit. It could be. I mean, you might know more than me on that.
But how
Well,
silly
what-
is that? I should be refused
It
my
shows a
concealed
past
carry
history of
because I got
aggression.
3 suspensions because I was
But-
late for class.
No,
a lot.
but it depends if it's a thing of aggression, bullying, fighting,
Oh,
assault
okay.
on a
So,
teacher.
So, I mean, when you
You know.
sign that application, you're giving them the right
Yeah, to
look
look
at
at
it
it.
to go
Everything.
back and look into anything they can find about you.
they will use it against you too.
But what I do know though is, I mean, I think media kind of skips over this a lot though. Is for anyone, unless you're doing a private, purchase or sale. If anywhere pretty much you're going and you're buying a firearm from a dealer, they're running an instant background check.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter whether it's in right now if you go to Texas, you live in Texas, like yeah, there's not a lot of restriction like oh you gotta wait or you can't get it now, but if you buy from an actual authorized dealer and not a private party, they're gonna run a background check, and
But how many of those guns are purchased at shows? And I don't think they're running
True.
background
Well-
checks at shows.
and they're not all doing it at shows.
And when I was living in Missouri,
Yeah, it's
every month was a new gun show coming to town.
yeah. There's
Come pick up an AR,
And
goddamn.
that's basically what it was. It was just, that was the big thing when the
Yeah.
gun show
They're
came
pretty.
to
If you
town.
like them, come get one. Take
There,
it home
there
that
was,
day.
they were always bragging, well, we've got, hundreds of vendors,
yeah.
and I'm positive that they're not all there that technical running background
Yeah.
checks.
Come
They
get
might
your
not
gun,
be at
go
the
down
shows,
the street and get a tattoo.
There's a guy standing there saying, yeah, I don't know, I came across these guns and this gun and
Well, hell, I'll take them all.
yeah, and so I don't know that,
I
and
think
that
some
was
of
one
it's
of the big
changed,
things
but-
in Missouri that they were trying to
shows.
change was because they weren't authorized gun dealers, but a majority of guns being sold were being sold at these big gun shows, and the gun shows were basically getting away without having very few restrictions.
Yeah, well, because most of the people were doing as like it's private purchases, not
Right.
An
No, they were
FFL,
doing private
yeah.
purchases,
So
yes,
it's-
but they were
Yeah.
basically unauthorized. They were not ones where the government is gonna be able to necessarily track where that gun came from and who's it going to.
yeah.
Because
But-
it's all just,
Like even in Illinois, I could sell like my gun to you because all I need to do is know that that you have a FOID card and that I don't think that you're a criminal. And
So my
I
gun-
can sell it to you. Now they have it where I could call the state police and we can do an instant background check.
Uh-huh.
But I don't have to do an instant background check as long as I don't have knowledge that you're not a criminal.
So as
and
long as
you
I
have your
didn't
FOID
tell
card.
you, once I
Yeah.
take this gun, I'm gonna go rob Denny's.
So I could still, do a private sale.
right? I mean, technically, is that kind of
No.
private background check. Okay, well, just
Yeah.
put down the information. We'll get back to you in about 6 months for that instant background check.
I mean, I have a liability to make sure that you have a valid FOID card, that you're not just some
right?
felon that. But and you obviously.
But if he got a
there's some
FOID
stuff
card,
about-
he got a background check. as well.
Exactly, you need a background check to get a FOID card. But I think obviously private sales are kind of a thing of its own, but I feel like they make it seem like you could just go like if you go to any actual like gun dealer, like a FFL, they're doing a background check.
Sure.
And and most of them, it's pretty instant. It's pretty, quick. Usually it's like instant verification, unless certain times if you had maybe something in your background that maybe comes up, they'll delay it. Some people get delayed and you gotta wait until they get back to you to go and complete your purchase. But I think they make it kind of seem like that it's a lot less regulated than it is. Like we're just completely just giving them out to anyone. And
You want a gun? You want a gun?
but going back to what your question was, what are things we can do? I mean, we can, improve. We should be improving our mental health system. If people that we actually do know are, mentally ill, like, yeah, we shouldn't be fucking necessarily, hey, here's, this gun and shit. Like, but what can we do that directly impacts that without restricting others? And, you know, so we already have enough stuff on the books. We have background checks. We have, you know, different ways to try and, you know, keep track of mental ill. Granted, some of that's kind of, you know, they've defunded some of the mental illness stuff, but I think we need to focus more on what causes people to, you know, commit crimes and how we can prevent that, than making just any like arbitrary gun law just to, you know, make the process, you know, drag out longer for law-abiding people. I don't know what that perfect like scenario or answer looks
That's a hard
like.
one to figure
Does-
out.
Right, I don't know what that looks like
There
in
is
a perfect world,
there,
but
there is no
No.
perfect world.
yeah.
There's never going
Not
to be
according
a
to
perfect
Democrats.
world. So, you know, unfortunately, there are going to be murders with guns. There are going to be
Forever.
accidental killings with guns.
Yeah.
But I think if you really put a hard focus on the illegal guns that are streaming into the inner cities, I think you're going to put a huge dent into those murders. I really do. I don't know the percentages, but I gotta believe those percentages are skyrocketing high from the murders in the inner cities with illegal guns, criminals and illegal guns. And you're never gonna stop everything. You know, they can build a car that will stop in 3 feet of anything that comes out in front of it, or can steer itself, or can do so many different things. But I don't think that they could ever make a car that for one reason or another isn't gonna end up in a crash. The
Yeah.
possibility. There's just like a gun, there's no way to prevent some accidents or some people that are, if they're determined enough to do it, they're gonna do it.
Evan, any final thoughts you want to throw out there before we wrap this up?
Well, no, they've been making some really great points.
Nothing? You got nothing to say? All right. No, that's cool. That's cool. Matt?
Just, you know, I think Second Amendment is one of our, you know, greatest, you know, rights and fundamental to this country. I think founding fathers were brilliant and they understood this, and, you know, that's why it was included. And, you know, I think it applies just as much now as it did back then. And yeah, I don't know, I'm for as little gun control as possible. You know, I think, yeah, it can't, you know, we live in a society, so you can't have 100% total freedom in any regard, right?
Mhm.
But it needs to be very little restriction, because I feel like the more restriction, really we're hurting the people who follow the laws. The people who don't follow the laws are not going to pay attention. They're going to get them through illegal channels. It's just the way it is.
Okay. Rick?
I
Final
think
thoughts?
I think the Second Amendment is not an entitlement, it is a birthright to every American that lives in this country. And I think that the government wrote that in a way that evolves as the world evolves, and there are reasons why those protections are put there in place, that we are allowed to carry guns. I mean, you can throw a whole lot of different reasons out there why someone should have it or shouldn't have it or whatever, and that's their own opinions. But in my opinion, I think that our forefathers foresaw our right to protect ourselves against criminals, against foreign government, against a tyrannical government, whatever it may be. If we just want to have that gun and never use it and sit in a gun case for 30 years, that is our citizenship right in the United States of America to be able to do that.
I think everybody agrees with that.
It doesn't hurt
Yeah,
anyone,
so
that's for
fuck-
sure.
No.
Well said.
What harm? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Do you want something to
I
say?
was just
You were-
gonna say, like,
go ahead.
well, yeah, I've been quiet all day. I was just gonna say, like, what harm does it do if you have a gun sitting in your safe for 30 years and it doesn't do anything? And if the only thing that you're using it for is like a means for self-defense, And if you never use it, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
awesome.
hope I don't want to.
Yeah.
At least, and like, with the exception of hunting and shooting for leisure.
I mean,
Hopefully, you never have to turn on anybody.
Well, if we let them take away our Second Amendment right, what comes next? The First Amendment right?
That's alright. That's
already.
Right?
That might be for another episode, though, right?
No, I mean,
Could
you
be
know,
anything.
you can't give in to government and the minority factions out there that are trying to control the rest of the population.
Yeah, this country's not based on who screams the loudest or who has the the mob on their side or their feelings matter the most. Like we have protections for our rights, and whether there's people who think it's scary that people exercise them or whatever, it doesn't fucking matter.
Grow a pair. Grow a pair.
Back in the day, it was pretty simple, majority rules.
Bingo.
Nowadays, it's not majority rules
It's
anymore.
media.
It's
Media.
it's minority
Before
rules.
It's,
the
it's
minority.
media.
Small
rule.
minority
And
What does the
factions.
media think? What does
Well,
the media
it
want?
is, but
Media
it's minority factions that are pushing for these things, and I don't know if it's out of fear or what it is, but there's too many government officials giving in to minority factions, therefore putting that pressure on the rest of the citizens to bow to whatever, who knows, maybe someday we're all gonna be wearing turbans.
Well, here's the thing: is
with the
my
masks.
that those small minority factions you're talking about, unfortunately, are what rules the media, rules things like Twitter and
The
Facebook
victim
and all that.
class.
So, anyway, everybody, thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. I think this was our best podcast yet. What do you guys think? It was good.
It's up there,
Pretty
yeah.
good.
It
It was my
really
best one.
It's your best one, Dad.
good. Yeah, having Rick was
Yeah.
My
awesome.
dad
It was
Rick
just
joined
fun
us today, and he was killer. He was the
Oh, yeah.
star of the show. Everybody, thank you for listening. Keep your balls fresh. All right, guys,
Hey,
that
so
was
the
good.
Bears-
You know what I want to do, man?
Oh,
I need to.
The Bears are winning.
See you later, YouTube. Chicago Bears are winning.
My stepsister